everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I am very excited. I will be going over the book of the month, book of the year finalists. So there are five finalists for book of the year. So I'm going to go over which ones they are. I'm also going to go over a little summary about them. My personal rating for the one, I've read all of them except for one. But I do own the fifth one. And then I'm going to go over the Goodreads rating, and then I'm going to tell you what I think is going to end up winning book of the year. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the video. The very first one is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I adored this book. She also wrote Part of Your World, which I'm not going to lie, I liked a little bit better, but I still absolutely loved this book. I loved the representation of anxiety in a male. I overall really enjoyed this book. So I'm going to read the summary and then tell you my rating and the Goodreads average rating at the time of filming this video. Obviously, these always change. Dr. Brianna Ortiz's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized, her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor, and that promotion she wants, oh, that's probably going to the new man doctor who's already registering 80-friggin-7 on Brianna's pain in my ass scale. But when all systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. And it's a really good letter, like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. Worse, he might be this fantastically funny and subversively likable guy who's terrible at first impressions. Because suddenly he and Bri are exchanging letters, sharing lunch dates in her sob closet, and discussing the merits of freakishly tiny horses. But when Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother, she wonders just how she can resist this quietly sexy new doctor, especially when he calls in a favor she can't refuse. So, yeah, I highly recommend this book. I'm really glad it got picked for Book of the Year. I had a feeling it would. But my personal rating for when I read this book was 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love Abby Jimenez. She's become an auto-buy author for me. So I highly recommend checking this book out if you have not already. And then at the time of filming, the Goodreads average rating was 4.33, so pretty good. The second Book of the Year nominee is actually Shark Heart by Emily Habbock. I also read this book and completely adored it. I was very skeptical, as most people are, about this book just due to the synopsis, and it just sounds weird, like a man's turning into a great white shark, like what? But I thought that it was absolutely beautiful. Just the story within itself, yes, it is strange, but I think what makes it so beautiful is it is exploring grief in a way that I've never heard explored before, or never heard grief be explored like before. And it just made for a beautiful story and a beautiful love story, and yeah, I really like it. The synopsis for Shark Heart says, for Lewis and Rin, their first year of marriage is also their last. A few weeks after their wedding, Lewis receives a rare diagnosis. He will retain most of his consciousness, memories, and intellect, but his physical body will gradually turn into a great white shark. As Lewis develops the features and impulses of one of the most predatory creatures in the ocean, his complicated artist's heart struggles to make peace with his unfulfilled dreams. At first, Rin internally resists her husband's fate. Is there a way for them to be together after Lewis changes? Then, a glimpse of Lewis's developing carnivorous nature activates long repressed memories for Rin, whose story vacillates between her childhood living on a houseboat in Oklahoma, her time with a college ex-girlfriend, and her unusual friendship with a woman pregnant with twin birds. Woven throughout this bold novel is the story of Rin's mother, Angela, who becomes pregnant with Rin at 15 in an abusive relationship amidst her parents' crumbling marriage. In the present, all of Rin's grief eventually collides, and she's forced to make an impossible choice. So my personal rating for this was, again, 5 stars. I adored this book. I did not know if it would make it through the finalists, because I know a lot of people didn't really give this book a chance because of the weird weird synopsis, but I'm really glad that it did. I have never read a book like this before. I think if you are a fan of the book Remarkably Bright Creatures, you will really enjoy this book. So that was my personal rating. The average Goodreads rating at the time of this video is 4.07. The third nominee for Book of the Year is Wavered by Amelia Hart. I did read this one. I believe I enjoyed it. It was a while ago, honestly. I'm hoping by rereading the synopsis it'll kind of awake my memory a little bit, but seeing as how I don't remember too much of it isn't great. But anyways, let's just get into the synopsis. I'm a wayward and wild inside. 2019. Under cover of darkness, Kate flees London for a ramshackle wayward cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate, but she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619. Alpha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. As a girl Alpha's, hard to say that name, mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting but in a deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence for witchcraft is set out against Alpha, she knows it will take all of her powers to maintain her freedom. 1942. As World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and her mother, long deceased, who is rumored to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her are a locket bearing the initial W and the word wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom. Weaving together the stories of three extraordinary women across 5 centuries, Amelia Hart's Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world. I do kind of remember after reading the synopsis a little bit more about the book. I did find it very interesting that we went through 3 different timelines. There is a lot of triggers. As for all these books, there's triggers. This one especially, I want to say it actually starts out with a pretty large trigger, which is domestic abuse, or domestic violence. So, just keep that in mind. It is a little bit of a harder read, but I ended up giving this book 4 stars, and the average Goodreads rating is 4.10. The 4th Book of the Year book is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I loved this book. I can't tell you, it is the cutest book ever. It is totally a mix between Matilda and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, so if that is something that you like or you think you would like, I highly recommend picking it up. It is a very short book, but it is so fun. And the synopsis for this one is Make-A-Wish. Lucy Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, she's able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old Christopher Lamb, who was left orphaned after the tragic death of his parents. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Be careful what you wish for. Just when Lucy's about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home for on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. For Lucy, the chance of winning the most sought-after book in the world means everything to her and Christopher, but she must contend with ruthless book collectors, wily opponents, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind, Masterson, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all of their lives forever. You might just get it. So without a doubt, I gave this book 5 stars. I had a feeling it would end up on Book of the Year just because everybody that I've seen read it has also given it 5 stars and really loved it. And the average Goodreads rating is 4.16. Alright, so now we make it to the final Book of the Month, Book of the Year, that's so weird to say, Book of the Month, Book of the Year nominee, finalist, I guess. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. So this is the one out of all of these that I have not read yet. However, I have heard amazing things. So I do not have a rating to give you. I do own this book, so whenever I read it, I will obviously let you know. But the synopsis for this one is: celebrating her 45th birthday at her local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summers crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They're in fact birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcasts and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep making the podcast. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie has been hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled, this word right here, her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she arrived, Josie disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives under mortal threat. That sounds like a whirlwind of a time. I am very excited to read this. So like I said, I have not read it. I don't have a rating for it. However, the average Goodreads rating is 4.16, which I feel like for a thriller is actually really, really good. 5 final Book of the Year nominees for Book of the Month. I'm gonna let you know which one I think is gonna win Book of the Year, and then whenever they announce it at the end of February, I will obviously talk about it in my March Book of the Month video. So I have truly, I really feel stuck between 2 of these books. I feel like all of these are really good. There are a couple books that I wish I could have seen on this list. I'm currently listening to Mame by Jessica George, and I really think this could have been a great contender for Book of the Year. And then there are quite a few add-ons throughout 2023 that I thought would have been amazing, such as like Bright Young Women. I think that one was a great contender, and I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but between these 5, I think either Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez or The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer is going to end up winning Book of the Year. I say that because these 2 are the most well-loved, they're the most well-received, and I truly think that they both deserve it. So that is just my guess. I guess we will find out together what ends up winning. I do think all of these books were great, except for the one that I haven't read. The only one that I didn't love as much was Wavered, but I mean, I feel like that's a very specific type of read. If you're really into like folklore, and maybe it just wasn't the right time for me when I read it. I'm still gonna keep it. I'm still got it on my shelf. I'll probably reread it one day, but that is just my opinion, and obviously reading is subjective. So if you absolutely adored Wayward or one of these other books and you think it deserves to win Book of the Year, that is 100% fine. So that is my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm so sorry I haven't been super active on social media this week. Like I said, have been out of town, house sitting and pet sitting and all that good stuff. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite of these 5 were from Book of the Month this year, if you've read them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. Oh, that's probably going to the new man doctor, who's already registering 8. Oh, that's probably... Brianna Ortiz's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce... Where read. What is that? Brianna. Can I read? No. Why am I doing videos? This one is about Dr. Brianna